What's up, YouTube users? I'm Player4, and here in the ponies category, welcome back to another fanfiction reading and reaction. Yes, it has been way too long since I did one of these, with the last one being in, well, February 2024. But did I ever think I was going to give up on this series and there would never be a second one? Absolutely not. So, this is the series in which I take a My Little Pony fanfiction story from the premier website for that, Fanfiction, and not only read it on video, but also give my thoughts along the way, so it doubles as a reaction. For this R&R, here we've got a story called Praise the Sun by fanfic user GreyTheGriffon. The last decade in Equestria has been marked by a lack of sunlight and an overabundance of tyranny. But today, 10 years after it disappeared, the sun returns. Praise the sun. So it's a drama story. That's the tag I'm paying the most attention to, and the usage of the word tyranny in the description? Yeah. Clearly, though, this story is about post-tyranny, a post-tyranny era, so I don't think it will be sad or tragic. That kind of story is something I would only be able to read in special circumstances, sad or tragic, but I don't think that'll be present here. According to the description, it's a submission for the Quills and Sofas 2 Halves contest that was held in the QNS Discord server. So I don't know what that contest is or what that Discord server is, but based on the lengths of the 2 chapters, I'm guessing it's about writing 2 chapters that are roughly equal in length. These 2 are very equal in length, 506 and 510 words, and they're the only 2 chapters, so yeah, the story is really short, just over 1,000 words, which is the minimum that you need to submit a story on fanfiction. I'll get to doing longer R&Rs eventually, but for now, this won't take us very long to get through, so let's go. First chapter, Praise the Sun, which will be followed by Praise the Moon. Praise the Sun. 10 years ago, the horror known as Nightmare Moon defeated Princess Celestia and banished her to the moon, the light of the sun banished alongside her. So I don't know if that's canon in Friendship is Magic or not, but Princess Luna did used to be Nightmare Moon. She was evil and not getting along with her sister Princess Celestia. For those 10 years, creatures of every creed struggled together under the weight of starvation, militaristic leadership, and universal tyranny. It is needless to say that we were all eager for an end to the night. So if the light of the sun was banished and everyone is eager for an end to the night, yeah, just think of how crazy that would be. There are parts of the world that experience a phenomenon called polar night, in which during the winter the sun does not rise above the horizon due to Earth's axial tilt, but that's very temporary, and then in the summer the opposite phenomenon happens, midnight sun. What we've got here in this story is nighttime, 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 24/7, no sunlight in sight. Wow. Today, through the window of my home in Ponyville, I saw the sun rising from the horizon line for the first time in too long. My eyes were stung with tears, whether from sheer joy or the brightness, I could not say. Honestly, I'm gonna say it's both. Bonnie, I remember shouting at the top of my lungs, though I knew she'd still most likely be asleep. Bonnie, you need to look out of the window right now. I shook her as I spoke, possibly with more force than I meant to. So without me reading any more of the text, I'm assuming the character talking here is Lyra Heartstrings, because her best friend, or girlfriend rather, is Bonbon, and I have seen other stories in which Lyra refers to her as Bonnie, though I don't think that ever appears in the show, so is this Lyra talking? I held her hoof in mine, both of us now shaking. We stayed that way together for a few minutes, neither of us able to say anything else. I can see why. After a while, our faces, painted by a single streak of tears, turned to each other. I tackle-hugged her, and we fell onto the bed, our school-filly laughter unrestrained. After some time, we collected ourselves as much as we could and rushed to the door together to bask in the light. A tentative hoof step outside, delayed only by our thought that this might be a dream, was met with warm grass and pleasantly cool dew upon the blades. Not surprising to me that they're thinking it might all be a dream. Imagine if this happened in real life, if there was just no daylight and only nighttime for who knows how long. I don't know if the story has stated how long it's been yet, but if the sun suddenly came back, then I too would probably, slap my hand or something just to make sure I'm not dreaming. Other ponies from around the town were poking their heads out by now, looks of disbelief on every face, every set of eyes making contact leading to more giddy laughter. I can only imagine they're gonna throw a sunlight is back party. which should get a lot of attendance. We met Vinyl and Octavia by the hooves as soon as we saw them, and we shared a hug together. Our tears stained each other's fur, and the grass our legs. Sensations we would savor for as long as we could. Pardon my censorship of that word there, but I like how Octavia, Vinyl, Lyra, and Bonbon are portrayed as friends in this story, as a group of 4. I don't think we ever saw that in the show, but they are all of those 4 are considered part of the background 6, the most prominent set of ponies who are not the main 6. Eventually, the 4 of us parted, a spontaneous decision between the 4 of us having been made that couples should spend this first day in a decade together. Okay, so this story is portraying them as couples, both Lyra and Bonbon and Vinyl and Octavia, and yeah, it's clearly Lyra talking here, even though her name hasn't been mentioned. Bonnie and I ran through the town together, rolled down a grassy hill in the park, and basked in the warmth and light we had missed for so long. It was beautiful. Hoof in hoof, surrounded by warmth not just in the air, but in the temperament of our peers. We celebrated. We drank spare cider that Applejack had in the cellar in case of such a wondrous day as today. Do you pronounce that wondrous or wondrous? Anyway, in this episode, Applejack does canonically have a cellar, which I'm assuming she stores cider in, but maybe other stuff too. And now we have a story where it actually got put to good use. And we gorged ourselves on pastries and sweets that Mr. and Mrs. Cake were once again eager to bake. Do you need it to be sunny outside or there to be sunshine in order to bake stuff, though? I mean, that's all electric or gas, isn't it? I figured Sugar Cube Corner would still be up and running. All our festivities underscored by the wonderful light of the sun alongside a simple shared motto. Praise to the sun, praise to our Princess Celestia. Yes, indeed. So that's the end of the first chapter, but what about the second chapter? Overall, this story hasn't given us much background, it's just saying how things have been before and jumping straight into things getting better. But since the next chapter is called Praise the Moon, I'm assuming we are going to get more of that backstory next. Well then, here we go to the second chapter. Praise the Moon. 10 years ago, the horror known as Nightmare Moon defeated Princess Celestia and banished her to the moon, so this starts the exact same way as the first chapter. The light of the sun banished alongside her. For those 10 years, creatures of every creed struggled together under the weight of starvation, militaristic leadership, and universal tyranny. The end to the night could not have come soon enough. Today, sitting in the personal observatory in my room, my jaw hung slack as a hole was bored through the lens of my telescope. Sorry, I don't know what that means. The force of the sun, which had all too long been absent, now present once again. So who exactly is narrating here? I should have revered it, as I'm sure every other pony in Equestria was at the moment. You've got that right. But my thoughts were clouded by fear and confusion as I stared at the sky. I only barely heard the cheers from ponies celebrating the return of the sun down in the city. My focus instead pinned directly at the star in the sky we all missed so dearly. I continued to stare, unable to form winds or even move, awestruck as I was. Again, who is narrating here? I thought at first it was Nightmare Moon, aka Princess Luna, who was getting upset that her villainous plot is over, but I really don't know. I suspect I was the only one to notice, what with my vantage point in a tower in Canterlot Castle, but there was a silhouette facing the terrifyingly familiar form of our Empress. The two forms were so similar, but in my disbelief, all I could do was shake my head and continue to stare. So I don't think the narrator here is Luna anymore. Whoever's speaking these lines, I think might be observing her in the sky, thinking that she might try to come back and bring back the nighttime. Eventually, I gained enough presence to shakily avert my gaze over to Spike's bed, where thankfully he was still sound asleep. So he didn't get woken up by the sunlight, huh? Spike must be a heavy sleeper. I crept over to him and tapped his side. Spike, I need you to look out the window, I whispered. What? What's wrong, Twilight? Okay, so we have our narrator. He stopped mid-sentence, the two of us now staring at the sun. Well, don't stare directly at it, your eyes, y'all. What looked like solar flares and other ejections of plasma from its surface decorated the edges of the sun, though a discerning eye for magic knew that they were intentional blasts of concentrated sunfire meant to harm. Uh-oh, who is blasting those? At an interval between flares, I saw them once again. 2 ponies, I now was aware, one dressed in lunar-themed armor and with hideously beautiful bat wings, and the other with orange armor in regalia accentuating her fiery mane. Their cutie marks were both unmistakable, one due to the years this past decade I had spent as her student, and the other for the same reason, though from much longer ago. Alright. For the rest of the light show, Spike and I just stared as we held each other, unable to say a word through our ragged breath. I prayed to myself during the entire onslaught, to whom I have no idea. Eventually, the lights ceased their horrible bursts, but from the lowering moon and rising sun, I had no doubt of who the winner was. Oh, okay. So it seems that Celestia and Luna were fighting. They were putting on this battle in the sky, competing for whoever's element would win. I turned to Spike, and he turned to me, our eyes clouded with faint, uncertain tears. I gently clasped his claws together with my magic, then did the same with my own hooves. We touched foreheads and whispered a simple prayer together. Praise to the moon, praise to our Princess Luna. Okay, so I have no idea why they were praying to Luna there when she was the one who supposedly did the bad thing, but in any way, that's the end of the story. So at first I thought that Luna was the narrator of this chapter, and thus we were getting like a backstory to how this all came about, but the author decided to make it short and sweet, as one commenter put it. They didn't do this entire thing starting from the day that Luna wanted to do this and made everything dark, then kept going down the story with everything dark until this day. It just gives us this. And what we see with the 2 chapters is first Lyra's viewpoint and Twilight's viewpoint, both in first person, which I didn't really expect at first. So what do I think of this story overall? Well, it was a lot of fun, and it spared me the emotion of going through that entire timeline with the darkness. It just jumps straight to the happy part, and there's something to be said about that. It's not something you'd want to do for an entire published book, but for just a little fan fiction, honestly, I like it. Now, let's see what some of the commenters have to say. Praise to the moon, praise to our Princess Luna. This doesn't sound like something Twilight would normally say if she had been Celestia's student. It doesn't sound like Nightmare Moon brainwashed her either, could just be me though. Pretty much what I was thinking. Why would Twilight have praised the one who did the bad thing? However, the author did give a response to this. Ah, I see. At the end of the 2nd chapter, Daybreaker defeats Nightmare Moon, her exact fate unspecified. Twilight and Spike's prayer is because they hope that Princess Luna is alive and that she may restore balance one day with her return. Okay, so yeah, the pony who defeated Nightmare Moon was indeed Daybreaker. I did have my suspicions about it being Celestia given the fiery mane, as the story called it. Like, that's not what Celestia has. I knew there was some character with that kind of mane, but I couldn't put my finger on her name, and so I guess I just assumed it was Celestia due to her being the sister of Luna. And then as for the second part of this response, even though Nightmare Moon and Princess Luna are technically the same pony, they are 2 very different sides of her. So if Nightmare Moon is defeated, the Equestrians consider Princess Luna to have returned. And that is a good thing, because Princess Luna is nice, and you don't want it to be perpetual daytime either, and Princess Luna is the governor of the night, or princess of the night rather. So it's important for her to be around, in her hero form. The story was also effective at keeping me on my toes, largely because it didn't provide a backstory. You don't know what's going on, and so you just keep reading and reading and reading, which is exactly what you want someone to do with your stories, so good job, GreyTheGriffon. I might have to do another one of your stories for a future R&R. On that note, here we are at the end. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and remember to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on the next reading and reaction. Which, will that one come out sooner than a year and a half from now? I mean, yeah, I can confidently say it will, even though I'm still not super great at being consistent. That should not happen again. Alright, that's all I wrote for this video. Player 4, turning off.